Are you as pissed off as I was, never knowing which diet to follow? The 24/7 confusion, the new trends and fads, and everyone you know, from your next door neighbor, your doctor, and your nutritionist, all suggesting different things. Welcome to my world. I spent 30 years being big and fat, and I tried everything under the sun. But today I'm going to share all of this with you. So stick around to find out which diet plan really does reign supreme, not just for fantastic weight loss, but incredible health. Hey there, what's up my friend? If you're new to my channel, I'm Ashvi, a doctor, nutritionist, and master chef. On this channel, we go really deep to discover the root causes of illnesses and weight gain, to offer you solutions that are safe, permanent, and more often than not free. So stay tuned as we embark on this wild journey to health together. In today's video, we're going to delve into the juicy topic of which diet plan reigns supreme, because I have tried them all. I was big since the age of 14 and I tried everything. Even as a seasoned doctor and a nutritionist and a personal trainer, I didn't know what I was doing. It was only when the motivation was a really good and real motivation, and that was being a mother, that I really hit the books and I figured out what was going on. And from there, it was an upward journey for everybody. I understood the root causes of why people gain weight, and it certainly wasn't greed or laziness. So taking this knowledge, I started healing all of my patients as well. So all of my patients lost weight and I lost 60 pounds. That's 30 kilos or 4 stones if you're British like me. But I dropped 4 dress sizes and I feel the best I've ever felt. So stick around, because on this video, I'm going to discuss some of the most common diet plans that are out there and give you my 2 cents worth about which one really is the ideal diet to follow. There seems to be a trend between calories, carbs, and fat. So low calorie diets, low carb diets, and low fat diets. Now, low fat inherently promise to work predominantly by reducing your calories. So I'm going to stick that one into that group. So today I'm going to discuss low calorie diets versus low carb diets and which one works the best. So what are they? Low calorie diets are exactly that. It's where you count your calories, and the premise is the amount of calories that you consume should equal the amount of calories that you burn through your bodily functions and, of course, exercise. And if you're in a calorie deficit, you'll lose weight. And if you're in a calorie surplus, you'll gain weight. And it's a very, very simple scientific thought process for weight gain. Some of the most common calorie-controlled diets, or most popular, shall I say, are your Weight Watchers and your Slimming Worlds, diets where they have replacement food products of any kind, whether that's a healthy protein shake, whether it's a slim fast shake, whether it's a meal replacement like Herbalife or Arbonne, for example. These diet plans predominantly work on calorie reduction and predominantly fat reduction. A similar process, a similar diet is the government's version of our Eat Well, Heart Healthy plate. I keep on doing this because, well, you'll see why, because it's not heart healthy. Anywho, I digress. Yeah, the government, the worldwide government, British, American, Australian governments, you know, they have these Eat Well plates where they talk about super low fat protein sources, so your lean meats and your lean dairy, and to use, you know, your polyunsaturated fats rather than your saturated fats, etc. I would even say that a well-formulated, whole food-based, plant-based diet is also low calorie, because one of the things on the low carb, on the plant-based diet is that they again predominantly shun saturated fat. They have some saturated fat and obviously meat and things like that. So, and dairy. So that also can be considered a low calorie diet. So we've got those are your most common low calorie diets. And do they work? Well, I'm going to tell you the answer to what actually works at the end of the video, so you do need to stick around, because I want to educate you as well a little bit. You know, it might be that you followed one of these plans, or someone you love is following one of these plans, and it would be good to actually understand what's going on. So my kind of conclusion about the low calorie diets, number one, is that our body is a little bit more complex than like a car engine that will work on fuel in and fuel out. Number two, it can actually not really count things like nutrients, which I think are definitely more important than complete calories. But tracking calories and knowing what foods are highly calorific is not a bad idea, because when you are wanting to lose weight, and this is new for me, by the way, because I tried all the kind of calorie stuff and it didn't work brilliantly. But when I tried a bit of calorie stuff combined with other stuff, the weight, melted off. So a calorie deficit is definitely not a bad idea when you've got quite a lot of weight to lose. But we'll go into more detail about how to do it in the best way, as I said, at the end of the video. So what's the other major diet kind of plan that I wanted to talk about was low carb. Okay, so low fat and low calorie are kind of all of those ones that we've spoken about. And then you've got your low carb. So those are, do you remember Atkins? Does anybody remember Atkins diet? I do. I tried it back in 2001 and it was horrible. Then you've got more, I guess, healthier ways, much healthier ways of doing low carb, like a healthy whole food low carb, and also Paleolithic diet and the ketogenic diet. So the low carb premise works by, they say, if you reduce all of your foods that elicit really an insulin response, and that's your carbs, even your good carbs, if we can reduce our insulin responses up, down, because insulin helps store fat, then you are going to start losing weight. So again, to me, it makes sense. That calories thing makes sense too. The carb thing makes sense too. And the low fat thing makes sense. But you kind of got to take the best of all of these diets to really see the full benefit. Which one reigns supreme? Well, unfortunately, with most scientific things, it's not black and white. It's not clear cut. It's more like a whole bloody motherfucking rainbow, okay? And that's kind of normal. We know that with science. Generally, there isn't this one size model fits all. So it's good that we know that now. So, drum roll. In my professional and personal opinion, being a doctor, nutritionist, personal trainer, functional medicine expert who has helped 98% of my clients lose weight and permanently whilst reversing their diseases, my idea of the most perfect weight loss diet is nutrient dense, vegetable focused, low grain and low carb, seasonal and organic, moderate protein, moderate fat, with traditional superfoods, with Paleolithic, Western A Price and Ayurvedic traditions sprinkled in. There you go, simple, huh? Sorry, that was quite the mouthful, and I'm going to break down each one of those individually, so don't worry. I am a big fan of the low carb movement. And I think, as I said, because to me it made a lot more sense. It works on insulin, it works on satiety, which is fullness. And when you are going low carb, not keto, which is virtually zero carb. Actually, no, it's very low carb is keto. And then you have one which is zero carbs, which is carnivore. And I tried that as well. And that's no coffee, no chocolate, nothing, not a single plant. So yeah, there really are kind of extremes, shall we call them, on both sides. So for me, low carb, super low carb, but nutrient dense together means getting your carbohydrates, which do provide fiber, mineral, vitamins, and energy, from vegetables. There you go. That's what I mean by the nutrient dense vegetable slanted diet. I always call myself on Instagram, for example, the vegetarian that eats meat, because I eat 10 portions of vegetables every day without fail. Because of course I want my carbohydrates and I want my nutrients and my minerals and my vitamins. So vegetables, eat your bloody veg, lots and lots of them. And of course, fruit. I'm not anti-fruit, but it's got to be seasonal and local, all right? So us Brits getting our bananas from Costa Rica in winter, that kind of stuff's got to go, all right? Just eat your fruit. And then, of course, your nuts and your seeds and your legumes. But they are quite high in carbohydrates. But if you're a vegetarian, this is, going to be a very important food for you. So we are going to go lower carbohydrate and get our carbohydrates from vegetables and local and seasonal fruit. I know what I've said is not easy. I do know that a lot of people in the West really struggle with eating lots of vegetables. With these vegetables, this is where it gets exciting. So please don't throw your phone across the room saying, this bitch wants us to give up everything. No, you're gonna have those carbohydrates with a lot of fat, well, moderate amount of fat, until you are losing weight, when you can kind of up the fat a little bit. And that fat is crucial, so many reasons, okay? Number one, it helps with the actual absorption of all those nutrients and minerals in the vegetables. Number two, it helps dampen down that insulin response that we just spoke about. So therefore, you are going to feel a lot fuller, a lot more often. So, you know, add your fat to your vegetables and you are going to feel completely satiated. That means full, and be getting lots of nutrients. What's the next thing I said? I said moderate protein. So now we've gotten rid of those kind of pesky starches and grains, which you really don't need. I have a video on this, and watch it to talk about and understand your grains. You know, so, but now that we've gotten rid of those completely pointless but very tasty grains like bread, pasta, cereal, oats, rice. Yeah, as I said, tasty, please. I am a foodie, okay? But they're tasty, but they're not healthy. We've gotten rid of them. What are we going to eat, right? We're going to be hungry. We're going to be hungry. Yes, we are, because we're not used to really nutrient-dense filling food. So you're going to start eating protein, okay? Protein. Every meal, 20 to 30 grams of protein per dish. And here, this is going to shock some of you. You got to try and get the fattier cuts, okay? So chicken thighs, not chicken breast. Oh my goodness, my brain is going a bit quiet. Beef mince with 15% fat versus 5% fat. You know, things like that. Or full fat milk rather than low fat milk. The fat is really important when it comes to protein. Again, it's about looking at how the food comes in nature. So when a cow produces milk, which we then turn into cheddar cheese, if you then start turning that into a low-fat cheddar cheese or a low-fat milk, it's a processed food. So that's one of the reasons we have to stop. And again, we have to just stop fearing fat. And look, I know I am going against the advice of any doctor or nutritionist or personal trainer or human being you might have met in the last 40 to 50 years. And then I urge you to ask, just look around you and you tell me if you feel that the low fat, low meat guidance has done us well. It hasn't, okay? So there you go. So we've got lots and lots of vegetables. We've got nutrient density. Those vegetables are going to be had with fat, so we're going to get really full. That's our vegetable slanted low carbohydrate. Then we've got moderate fat, where you're not going to go crazy. I'm not talking about bulletproof coffees or chugging that olive oil down your throat. No, I'm saying be generous with fat, but don't be OTT. And then protein. Protein in every meal is going to make a huge amount of difference. All the science is showing now that some of the nutritional deficiencies in over 60, the two biggest things that over 60s are missing is saturated fat, so their brains aren't getting, their brains are getting messed up, hello dementia, and protein. We have a huge issue around something called sarcopenia, which is when you lose your muscle mass from the age of 30 onwards, and you need muscle mass. You need it for everything. You need it for strength. You need it for repair. You know, the UK and the West has some of the highest rates of hip fractures in the world. And I think that's because of really low protein diets. Protein builds bones, by the way. You know, we need to be doing more of the natural stuff. I forgot to say right at the beginning when I was announcing the winner, when I went
nutrient dense, low carb, paleo, Ayurvedic, Western A price, moderate protein, moderate fat.
I forgot to say with a spattering of fasting. Yes, another thing which has gained popularity in the last couple of years, I guess, and it's like a trend. But again, it's how we always ate. I always say this to people. You do realize 200-300 years ago, they didn't wake up and get a Pop-Tart from the cupboard and put it in the toaster or get your bowl of cereal or no, maybe a couple of hundred years ago they did, but look, I'm not very good with history. Maybe 500 years ago, they definitely didn't. And we adapted for that. So I'm just not a fan of this constant 2-hour eating. And the reason, again, the government suggested that is because we're eating all these carbohydrates. When you eat a simple carbohydrate, and I'm not talking like, you know, lovely hummus or some nice almond butter, I'm talking your brown bread for breakfast. Yes, brown bread for breakfast. You just get a huge spike of this hormone called insulin, and then it drops again because your body likes a certain amount of blood sugar. And then you get hungry or hangry. If that's you, you get angry when you haven't eaten for a while. You've got complete sugar dysregulation. One of the best ways to fix that is I might as well recap. Eat low carbs. Get your carbs from real carbohydrate sources, vegetables, fruit, nuts, seeds, legumes. Stop the grains. Okay? If you must, have your healthier grains like quinoa and teff and spelt and things like that. But really, There's nothing in grains that you can't really get from vegetables, nuts, seeds, and legumes, but there's so many negatives in grains. So low carb, nutrient dense, choose the best vegetables you can. And I have a whole video, and the link is in the description below, about nutrient density, which I'd love you to watch and just understand it more. Number 3, be generous with your fat, but don't go OTT, all right? So don't be like chugging it down and just scoffing down those disgusting cheeseburgers. Eat really good source of whole food fat sources, and be generous with it. Number 3, protein at every meal, at least 2 to 3 meals a day, and you want to be aiming for anywhere between 20 to 30 grams of protein. And the last one is consider fasting, okay? I've got a whole video on fasting and a beginner's guide to fasting, which you can obviously find down below. But for now, just stop snacking. That's a way of doing fasting. You know, if you can just eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner with nothing in between, and don't eat anything after dinner, I promise you, the health gains are going to be unreal. And your weight is definitely going to start just melting off. So give it a go. Boom, there we go. So I have now just told you a relatively simple way of choosing which diet suits you best. So whichever plan you're on, stop it, give this stuff a go, and watch those kilos melt off. So I hope you've enjoyed my video today. I hope you've kind of understood my point, even with my rambling. And if you have, please consider subscribing, but more so share this video, because when you share knowledge, you're sharing love, right? And if you've enjoyed this, you're definitely going to enjoy the next video coming up, which talks about all these other little things that you could be doing that's keeping those damn pesky pounds on. All right, till the next video.